All right, all right, all right. What is good? What is good? I'm going to start a little bit solo while the folks are coming in. Twitter space, they will be missed. Episode 18, the Shut Up and Dribble edition. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm still back there last week. I've been thinking about this all week. Every time it pops up, the WNBA stories keep popping up, and it was such a WNBA heavy Twitter space last week. But I'm still a little bit back there. I did not. How are you a women's league, and for your merchandising, you are not selling women's clothing? You know the it was basketball shorts, which ain't gonna happen for most women. That ain't gonna happen. Basketball shorts, unisex jerseys, t-shirts, standard t-shirts. I, I don't know if the jersey even had the women's cut version of the jersey. Maybe it takes money to make money, but how in the heck? I know very little about marketing. Not a marketing genius at all. I would like to think if I had a women's product and merchandising was a part of it, at least the gear I would sell would be some version of women's clothing, or at least it would be available. I mean, with Athleta and some of these other women's, Allison Felix's thing, I think Simone Biles has something. Maybe it's the same thing. I'm not sure. And there's more. They're looking for it, and you would think they could just work to say, hey, we'll split the money down the middle. We're not making much money. I'm not sure how much y'all are making. How about we put our logo on your sports bras, on the yoga pants? I don't know. Hell, the NFL even has lingerie. The NFL can have lingerie. I don't know why WNBA cannot. Anyway, I, I'm still back there. I am perplexed by that, and it hasn't gone away in a week now that we're still here. All right, so we're gonna get this. So I'm still back there. We're gonna get this thing started. Get with the classic two man group here. Steve Martin, how goes it, my man?
What's going on, DT?
Man, I'm telling you, man, I'm here on the mean streets of Hanover, Maryland. Still here in America. It's like I'm gonna go home soon. I'm actually kind of missing home now. Well, home Baku home. But yeah, man, what's going on with you, brother?
Uh, another day, another dollar, just in the rat race. Just same old, same old. Uh, 2022 has always been interesting, and just like 2020, this is 2020, the sequel. A lot of miserable ass things going on. Not
Oh my
not
gosh.
me personally, but just things in general. It's just a sequel to 2020.
Man, how is it when we thought coronavirus, COVID, hey, the president even has it now, and we're thinking, hey, well, it's not as big a deal. I think we largely know what you got to do. You pretty much just, if you catch it, just go on your bun. As long as you don't have pre-existing major premorbidities. Largely, it just you sit your butt down, watch Netflix, don't do anything, rest up for a week. And you're kind of generally fine. And I think people, are accepting it. But then we got monkeypox. What the hell, man?
Yeah, I mean, just wait till we're only halfway through the year. Just wait till second
Yeah.
half of the year where we get gerbil flu, you know, hamster gonorrhea, uh, uh, you know, uh, uh, grasshopper AIDS. It almost seems like the world is throwing a dartboard at you know, two names of certain things, and then it becomes a worldwide pandemic. You know,
It, it's this is crazy. Like, man, and it's just just when you think, okay, hey, because everyone large, I think at this point, I'm seeing a lot of Facebook posts. It's like I think most people are admitting if you do anything at all other than go to the grocery store early morning, yeah, you're gonna catch coronavirus, COVID, if you hadn't already at some point. It's coming. Like a cold. and but yeah, now this monkeypox thing. Now it's like, well, maybe just people have a lot of skin to skin contact, yada yada. But yeah, now you gotta be careful washing clothes because if you're, if you're working laundry or something. And I'm like, man, I'm actually going back on the road next week. Like, God damn it. This is a mess.
Well, it's funny. I think this is, everything has a cause and effect, and I'm pretty sure somebody more educated than me will say differently. But I challenge anybody to tell me that COVID-19 and monkeypox aren't God's retribution for these women with these goofy ass, extra feathery eyelashes. I think God is
Oh,
punishing us. These are
ah,
the first of the two plagues. And as long as it keeps going, we're going to continue to get more things to punish us for these ridiculous things that people do.
yeah, yeah. I think maybe it's the backlash to what TikTok and Reels have become. That it's just the sillier and more crazy the video, and the more, the more views and things that it gets, and the more money these people make. And maybe it's just okay. Let's keep throwing the viruses and the pandemics at them. Maybe that'll slow it down a bit. This they're clearly not getting the message.
We'll move
Oh
along.
gosh. OMG. Well, I mean, hey, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. So you want to do a couple quick hits real quick before the rest of the crew gets up in here? Things that didn't make the
Let's
cut.
do it.
All right. So I think it maybe just me, well, so something didn't make the cut. This is one personal to me. I'm a Houston Dynamo soccer fan, right? And the Dynamo built the stadium, modeled it after European stadiums, which means it's in the middle of Houston in a league that's in the summer, and it's somewhat shaded, but shade or not, it is a blast furnace. And they're wondering why nobody's going to the games. And now they just put a design out saying, "Hey, we're gonna paint some of the seats black. Isn't that gonna be cool?" They said it's mesh seating, but it's just I think the MLS is really screwing things up. I'm upset about this. I'm still upset about it. It's a team I really enjoy. We're not getting any attendance because they didn't put a retractable roof on the damn stadium when they had the chance, like we do all the other sports, major sports in Houston. I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. And so we're gonna be missed there.
There's a technical term for that. It's called dumb.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right. Okay, another one didn't make the cut. Probably because no one knows who the hell he is, and I put it in late in the poll. Daryl Katz, the owner of the Edmonton Oilers, not the Houston Oilers, the old Oilers, the Edmonton Oilers, paid a teenage girl ballerina $75,000 for sex. So he basically it looks like he pretty much set himself up for failure here. I mean, if you look at the pictures, we can't see it visual here. This man looks like a psychopath. He looks like what would be a a sex offender when you look at the picture of him. I mean, the hair wild. His eyes look really wild too. He just looks like the classic billionaire sex offender. He paid a teenage ballerina $75,000 in exchange for sexual favors. As of right now, according to the CBC, Canadian News, it's unproven, and it's a response to a sexual abuse lawsuit launched by 7 aspiring ballerinas in 2021 against against a dance teacher, Mitchell Taylor Button, and his wife and so forth. So again, this ballet gymnastics world where these very very young female children are being coached up, and then here we got all the sexual allegations and so forth. So it's really they actually claim that it was a throuple sexual relationship, and it was something that it was all loving and consensual and so forth. But they've got screenshots, they got texts and so forth. It's ridiculous. So it's another situation of guys with money or with power taking advantage of young girls, especially in a coaching type of situation.
Wait, how old were the victims or the
Uh,
victim?
Okay, so the court bond says he was 53 while the dancer was 17. So I don't know the age of consent in, I imagine, Edmonton. Could be Calgary or something. So yeah, still, I think, yeah, I guess if it's 17, depending on where you are, that could be consent, but I don't know if I think in some places there's an age gap when you're that young still. Like you could be 20 and it'd be okay, but if you're 53, you're going to jail.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, it's, I mean, I don't understand. It has to be a fetish or a sickness or whatever, but I don't understand why it has to be someone under 18. And if you're a billionaire, I don't know, and I'm not advocating for them to fly around and find other victims, but if you're a 53-year-old billionaire, somebody will sleep with you.
Oh my.
It just, I don't know, man. It's really, this goes to show that really is a problem. I guess
What
normal
is going
things
on? It feels like every week we're doing this. It's like you have you could get sex, if not for free, for significantly less money than you're paying out in lawsuits. you know, even if you not want to go the prostitute route, hell, take a girl on a date on a Black Hawk helicopter where they're serving it foie gras and champagne, and you're gonna get some action. It's even if you don't want to pay straight pay for play, as they say. I mean, all that's a rhyme. I mean, why put yourself at this kind of a risk? Oh, oh my God. Yeah, you pay for a photo shoot, you offered her $20,000 a day for sex, wired her 35,000. She donated the money to the charity after he wired her to her. So after rejecting the arrangement, this is the first time. He's got something else, sex for play, but it doesn't appear that this particular first one was a teenager. So it looks like he was putting a little money on the table, but it must be a power dynamic. That's the only thing I can think of. And I guess I was never that guy, you know, but it must be a power dynamic.
well, the reason why we can't understand it is because it's there's something that doesn't add up. It's illogical. If we don't think like that, that's probably a good thing. And all we're doing is left guessing. And we can make educated guesses, but yeah, I think, you know, power dynamic, sickness, or whatever the case may be, or flouting the law. I mean, if you're that wealthy, there's a couple things that just, skirt the law to begin with.
Yeah,
But I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Uh, yeah, this is awful. I hope he burns in hell.
yeah, screw
But
him. Yeah.
if he were, living in Northwest Florida, he'd be a representative right now. So
Oh, absolutely.
what
Oh,
do I
oh,
know?
oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. What do we know? Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just I, I know as I've talked to guys occasionally that say, they don't, they're not as vocal, but they talk about all the older guys that, you sleep with your employees, it's when you may just do something like that, or you someone trying to look for a job, or in the corporate world, I've seen talked to a lot of ladies. We're all in our 40s now, but when we were all interns, the interns getting hit on by the managers at the company, and there's a power dynamic there because, of course, as an intern, you're trying to get a job. You want to get invited back and get a job. And here goes somebody that can easily make that happen, but he's hitting on you. It's like, it's already icky to begin with, and then it's just, what are you doing? Why? And even if you want to take the corporate guys, okay, hey, you're making $100,000, I don't know, a year. So, you don't get out the house much. Okay, so the only you hit on every young girl that manages to come in your purview, the few that do. But you would imagine a guy with like a billionaire, owns a very popular hockey team up that way would have access to the kind of would have so much access to sex. It would not be an issue. There's no need to go to teenagers, 17, even if it's consensual or not. And just to screw around with people at that age. I would think you could keep it above board. Just you stay out of the headlines if nothing else.
Why can't he just get a goddamn sugar baby like everybody else?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yourself. Yeah. Even, to get the sugar baby, you pay, I don't know how they either I gotta look it up again. I saw it on HBO or something. But what is it? They pay them some money or they just pay for everything. One of the two, right? And the girl hangs out with you, girlfriend experience. There's not, true affection. Everyone knows what's going on here. And boom, you're in there. You're good to go. Problem
And
solved.
they're adults. That's the important part. Because by law, certain places in the Western world, a child cannot consent, so it's always rape. Right?
Always illegal. Yes, absolutely. Maybe it's just these guys. I mean, you assume the guy that working. I'm assuming he worked his way up to being a billionaire. That the type of what's the word I'm looking for? Drive and passion and chutzpah to make it that far in life and do that well in life. In business, you got to be ruthless. I'm sure quite often. Um, that in your business and things that I imagine that guy is not used to being at a certain point. He probably rarely gets told no, you cannot do blah blah blah. Like at a certain point in his life, right? And he's 61 now. I'm looking up his Wikipedia. He went to university. His dad owned a pharmacy, or founded a pharmacy in Edmonton. So that's probably where the money got started. Yeah, that's how the money got started. Yeah. So he paid $300,000 for this, yada yada. Got some patents, but $145 million bid to buy the oil in 2007. That's probably worth $2 billion now anyway. So yeah, you're in at a certain point in your life. I imagine for guys like that, you know, maybe alpha personality, maybe not, but he doesn't get told no, and if he wants something, he can have it. And maybe it's because this is something you probably shouldn't be having. Maybe that's the allure of it. I'm gonna go into 17. Ugh.
Correct. This
Yeah.
story is depressing, which is probably why a lot of people didn't vote on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So let's move along. Let's F him, screw him, and the dog and his dog. Okay, so but actually that leads up to the actual story. Didn't get many votes, but it leads us right into the next story. So the first story, it's kind of apropos, it's just me and you right now. So I think we may be the only ones that are true fans of this in the first place, at least going back in the day. All right, story number one officially. Will he be missed or not? I think we already got the answer. So his retirement came last Friday. His retirement was actually quickened due to federal investigations into reports the 76-year-old has paid millions of dollars to cover up claims of sexual misconduct and infidelity. According to the Wall Street Journal, the SEC and federal prosecutors have launched inquiries into payments that he supposedly made to settle allegations of sexual misconduct. The company disclosed inquiries and recent security filings, and also that the company was still conducting ongoing internal investigations uncovered by him for making payments totaling up to $14.6 million from 2006 to 2022. Of course, that's from Sports. That's from Sports Illustrated via the Wall Street Journal. We all know what this is. This is our boy, the genetic jackhammer, the boss, the chairman, Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon himself, living the gimmick. He actually it has happened on Friday, so in between our two shows, we weren't sure. I think we had to say he's not going to be missed. We figured there's no way he's going to leave, or even if he does leave, he's still going to be in charge. But Vince McMahon retired on Friday. His daughter will now run the company with Nick Khan, who was not related to Tony Khan, who runs AEW. Just so you know, they're going to like kind of co-CEOs. Good luck. See how long that lasts. They brought back Triple H to run the talent side and the story and the creative side, which a lot of people really wanted to see anyway. With Not so much because it's him, but how much people liked NXT in its early iterations when he was in charge. So we have new investigations. This is as of today or yesterday. New investigations. It looks like not only is it hush money, but he's also Vince McMahon paid it through the company. So you had payments, people getting promotions they shouldn't have gotten, etc., through the company. It's not like you had somebody working for him as a personal assistant and he paid them extra money. He had to go through the company, hence why the feds are involved. Disclosures weren't made, financial and so forth. And so he went ahead and retired. So Vince McMahon, we got 14.6 million sexual allegations. Not saying he was doing this the entire time, but from 2006 to 2022, we're coming up on 14, 15, was it 16 years rather. So I guess we probably got our answer already, but will he be missed? Are we going to allow it, Vince McMahon?
Uh, yeah, it's time for this guy to go home. Even if he didn't do all these things, he's 76 years old. He needs to allow for some new blood. But if you want the easy answer for, what I think about what the guy is doing, you could excuse or you could, you know, rationalize a lot of different things. And there's a bunch of things I just can't rationalize in my mind. One, the wife who she's a co-billionaire too. She could have done the Mackenzie Scott thing and like, all right, great. You want to do this? Half, and walk away with half and or, you got the whole thing of why are these women being left alone in the room with the CEO, the chairman? Why do these women continue to work for him? Now, I'm not victim blaming, but at a certain point, like if I strapped a stake to my neck and walked into a tiger cage, I could only be but surprised about what goes on. The other thing is about Vince McMahon himself. Okay, I have never thought of a way to throw away $14 million, 14.8, is that right?
14.6. And that's what
0.6.
we know so far. Yeah, it seems like they're still investigating. There may be more.
I mean, a fool and his money soon part ways. No, he won't be missed.
I feel you that, and we can keep going. I mean, it's similar to the last story, right? It's how much could a sugar baby possibly cost? It's not going to be $14.6 million worth of sugar baby, and right, trips to I don't know, freaking the Maldives with old girl, and put in on the light bill and the rent. It ain't gonna be 14, not even over 16 years. Not that you would keep the same girl anyway. I mean, how I just to bring them into the company. It's like everyone knows that marriage is probably whatever run its course, probably at this point with Linda McMahon. So and Lord knows he's thrown in her face that character that the Mr. McMahon character with all the women, all the girls behind the camera, in front of the camera, and apparently behind the camera. And it's just you could have had the sugar babies and you could have had them around the office. Nobody would have cared. No one would say anything. It's your company. No, say, hey, yeah, that's my special friend. Yeah, she's just she's gonna sit over there. No one's gonna. Why go through the company, a publicly traded company on top of that, which means everything has to be disclosed, everything has to be upfront. The board has to be informed of things. You're bringing in a paralegal who has no degree in the law to be a paralegal, then a year later doubling her salary to 200,000 and promoting her because that's your girlfriend. And I guess you want her close to the office. You want her, I don't know, you want her around the corner so you can just, you don't have to. It doesn't look weird when you go home or when she kind of closes the door. No one says anything. Well, that's the paralegal. I just don't understand this. Why?
Dumb.
And then
It's all dumb.
and hell, take the sugar, go all the way. Let's go all the way. How much could it possibly cost for a high level call girl or escort per hour. I don't want to look it up. I don't want my history to say it. Call it call it 1,000 an hour. Listen,
He's a billionaire.
he's a
You know,
billionaire. Call it 10,000. Call it 10,000. Call it 10,000 for a night for one of these high level escorts that God knows we don't have access to. If it's 10,000 a night, he could have had a different woman for 1,460 nights. So divided by so it's like over three. He could have had a different girl for 4 years straight. So it seems like I do it every night. Well, hell, even if it's just if it's $1,000 an hour or something, hell, what is that? What is that? 140,000? That's like 100, 200 years worth of a different woman every night.
I mean, he
And
can
these
afford it. It's
companies, you can
for
afford it.
for a billionaire. That's a rounding error.
Exactly. That's like when it's like, oh crap, I left that in the restaurant, left it in the car. You know, that's the fee for your credit card every year because you got the special. It's just, and so it's like if you did that kind of stuff, you know, then you get to keep you can retire however you want, which I don't think he was ever going to retire, honestly. I think he literally, like Ric Flair, he was going to get carried out of Titan Tower, out of the office. And that's how he probably has it. He probably has it written in his will. And unless you guys have the right, because I think all boards can do that. They can run you off if you're mentally out of it. But other than that, I'm gonna get carried out of the office. He is not leaving that company. And even if he kind of steps back and let somebody else does the day to day business stuff, he's gonna and nothing gets done without the old man giving the thumbs up.
Well,
But it's gone. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. Um, again, with that much wealth, these things are they're at his fingertips. You talk about $1,000 a week. I mean,
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah,
yeah, you're right. He could leave that pocket change in his wallet and never
yeah,
miss it.
yeah. If he got $1,000 a night escort, $1,000 an hour, call it an hour. I mean, billionaires, right? We're talking, the money just flows. Who cares, right? $1,000 an hour. He could have had a different for that 14.6 million, not to mention whatever else he's losing. He could have had a different woman or the same woman multiple times, whatever, every night for the next 40 years or for 40 years. So in 2006, so he would literally till you could until you die. And would that not set you straight? Would that not be like, hey, okay, that's good for me? I don't need to have the girlfriend and pay the company's money and mess up in SEC violations and prosecutions and put the company through all this crap. I
Yeah,
don't get
and
it. I don't get it.
he the moment that they went public, he should have learned to be on his best behavior. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, there are plenty of, I won't say plenty, but there's enough for it to count of uh multi-million or billion-dollar companies that, much like the Trump organization, are still family-run small companies. Once you became publicly traded, everything that you do, can embarrass the company and or can put you, even though you're the founder, even though you're the chairman, even though you're the CEO, could put you on the outside looking in.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, if Trump went public, I mean, you got to disclose everything. I mean, d- I mean, it's like in my job, I'm at the as far as financial disclosure portion of the business, I'm at the very beginning of the train, right? I'm in the project management world, so we put the estimates together for the next year. We got to put that crap together mid-July so that by the time it works its way through the full system, it's ready for SEC and Wall Street and all the filings by the end of the year. I mean, it's that much that has to be done. And it would probably make my head hurt if they had someone actually walk me through how they do that. They tried, they really tried. They even got a book about it. I still don't get it. I don't want to get it. I'm going to waste my time. I'm going to read Stephen Hawking's books. They make more sense to me. So it's like, he still has significant amounts of control. He still owns the controlling shares of the firm, of WWE or whatever the call letters are. Probably WWE. So some people are saying, well, he's still largely in control because he who owns the cash, he owns the majority of the company, and he has the majority of the voting shares. I put it that way. So yeah, I think like the really big decisions, like CEO, that's not going in. He would have a lot of say, I imagine, in that because of the voting controlling shares. As far as which wrestler is going to get the title belt, that seems like there's like Triple H has run out his other guys. John Laurinaitis, I think Bruce Pritchard has been demoted. I think they run out Kevin Dunn. I think they're just like all those guys are either out completely. I think Laurinaitis is out because he was involved in the sex scandal himself. And then of course the other guys are demoted. So I don't know if he's gonna have anything to do with that anymore. Triple H is, as soon as he got enough chutzpah, he can manage to keep that in check.
Well, but some people never learn. They never will.
I don't get it. And it's gonna sound really. It's just like the Texas story a few weeks ago. I would almost, if I were like the board, not so much the CEOs, but I was the board, like on the board, I'd be like, for the CEOs and all those guys, can we just write something in the contract so that's part of your benefits package, so you don't even have to try? Like it's already there. Hey, we write it somehow. I don't know how that works, how you'd even word that, but yeah, just so if you do get a hankering for some women, you're not going to be going down the hallway because hey, I'm the CEO. I can just talk to the intern. She'll do whatever I want. It's like you're not going to do that. That you're gonna keep it above board and not use that power dynamic that apparently a lot of them must be doing.
We can't have interns. That's the answer to all of this.
Must be interns, and there's like one place I worked before. I was curious, like all the admins and secretaries. I don't know if that term is even. I don't think that term is really in vogue. Admins, they're all like well over 45 to 50, and fantastic admins, but none of them was like that classic madman, smoking hot secretary you read about or you see on TV. And like I wonder, like how did y'all pull that off? Like literally the whole building. I say,
Yeah,
yeah, they probably it's on purpose. I'm sure it can't be. It can't the cross section of humanity. That cannot be by accident.
right. Try and get you know, a 20 something, volleyball or track athlete to babysit your kids. Let's see how that goes. Let's see if the wife
Mm-hmm.
will go for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. If I get you get Brittany Renner come by the house to check on my daughter, and just make sure I'm going
Feed
to
the
be
cat
home
and
upstairs
everything like
working.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah, we do have over back in the Middle East. We do have a house keeper comes by just a couple times a week, and yeah, all those all the housekeepers and for the whole neighborhood. It's expats. Everybody uses the kind of little network of them. Yeah, all of them are. None of them can't be any younger than 40. Can't be. Maybe I haven't seen it yet. I'll put it that way.
Maybe even close to
Yeah, closer
retirement
to
age.
50. And closer to 50. Yeah, and closer to 50. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We went to we love, she's great. She's been such a big help for us. We actually went to her daughter's wedding and everything. So she's going to have a daughter and has grandkids, so it's not it's not gonna be any hanky. And maybe that's just people just learned after a while, hey, just I don't know what the 20-year-old, 25-year-old ladies are gonna do. The interns, because pretty soon they're going to get run. It's like, man, just don't even have me here because man can't keep it together. Oh boy, I'll tell you. Well, I mean, I am a little excited though about what WWE is going to do. I barely watch. I actually find myself watching a lot of the stuff when we were growing up. You know, the documentaries, the Young Rock show, some of that stuff. You watch any of those things at all? The A&E biographies, or Beyond the Mat, or Dark Side of the Ring, some of that stuff.
I
Young Rock.
somehow, I've managed to miss a
Oh,
lot of that stuff.
yeah, you gotta watch A&E for free. You know, I don't think I'm even logged in. Maybe I am, but A&E has uh WWE pretty much now seems like they just own the A&E channel, or just say, we're just making money. So they do a bunch of biographies on wrestlers. Like Kurt Angle's is coming up this weekend. Um, they've got the other ones. They've got Stone Cold, Ultimate Warrior. They got the Bella Twins up there. People a little perplexed about that. So they ain't been around long enough to have a biography 2 hour documentary on them yet. But Hulk, Hulk, not so much Hulk Hogan, but Macho Man. But it's the WWE. It's like they themselves are doing it. So they got access to all the main players, Vince, Triple H, everybody. They have access to the WC, all these guys because it's WWE themselves are putting it together. So it's pretty cool. But uh, Jim Cornette does reviews of each one of those shows and debunks a lot of stuff. It says he was there because he's not in any of those. He says, "Oh no, that's not how it happened," or they embellished this or that. So it's kind of fun to see both. But yeah, but WWE looks like a lot of people are saying that I guess the current is not what we grew up with for sure, especially in college. It was really kicking butt. It's just too scripted. It's just weak. It's not fun. Um, whereas NXT for a short while was a more sport based thing. Like, of course, we all know it's choreographed, but you don't know who's gonna win, and it's more sport based. It's like it's very athletic, and they took that away when Triple H left, but now the Triple H is going to run the whole thing. I'm thinking if he turns it into what NXT used to be, shoot, I may even throw that in rotation, leave that on the background, getting some work done. Because that wasn't bad at all.
Well, good.
Yeah. So yeah, and ironically, I didn't know this from the A&E thing. Shawn Michaels is all over NXT, really coaching the guys up. I didn't know that. So the clique is still now back in charge. They took over like they always wanted to do. At least Triple H, Shawn Michaels, I don't know about. Kevin Nash, he's probably just doing crap. All right. Well, cool, cool. Man, we're burning through them. All right. Well, let's go into the next story. Change it a little bit. So, second main story. So, this one I don't know too much about it, but it seems fairly interesting. I thought I'd throw it up there. So, you got the ESPN has the ESPY Awards. You know what the ESPY Awards are, I'm sure. It's so they're at the ESPY Awards. It's their kind of like their version of the Emmys or Grammys, the ESPYs. Greatest athlete, best moment. Um, and so, whatever. And then, so they had a bunch of ladies that were nominated for ESPY awards. A lot of female, but however, a lot of female athletes were snubbed and not given tickets to the award show, including South Carolina Gamecocks' Aaliyah Boston. Her team's head coach Dawn Staley also blasted Network for beginning about her. Dawn Staley said, like, really, who in a room from ESPN decided it was a great idea not to invite the women's March Madness team, national player and defensive player of the year. Not one person is able to see the uproar this will cause. Is there something wrong with the makeup of the room? The fight continues. Hashtag women's basketball stand up. And there are other snubs as well. So I'm trying to see who else got snubbed. But it turns out they had several athletes, and only talking about old girl from because Dawn Staley said something about it. Old girl from South Carolina. But apparently they're saying that it was only women that were the nominees that got snubbed. ESPN has said, "Hey, we have COVID restrictions, and it's a smaller venue, and the venue seats over 3,400 people. There's only 132, but there was only 132 athletes nominated, which of course leaves well over another 3,000 empty seats." Assuming the nominees are granted a +1 athlete. Okay, 3,000 seats. Yeah. So yeah. So here we go. ESPN can get there all 132 athletes and maybe a +1. Mama, girlfriend, boyfriend. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, girlfriend, boyfriend in the room because hey, it's COVID. Hey, it's a small theater. But what's the thought then? There is ESPN ESPYs. There's gonna be a problem for them, or they're gonna be able to get past this and figure something out. ESPYs already happened by the way.
Um, this will be, forgotten, not by the people who are
Mm.
really mad about it, but it'll be forgotten. It is a snub, and I mean, I can't deny it. It's pretty pointed. It'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, it'd be nakedly obvious if all the black players were snubbed. But
Yes.
I don't know how these things continue to happen. This is 2022. They could have been uh, they could have been overly clever. They could have had it in two venues or two nights, or
Yeah.
I mean, it is a snub, and it may not be the worst thing in the world. This isn't, not having a trophy, or not even having the women's March Madness. This is an award show. I mean, as much as we like to say fair and this, that, and the third, this is not paid for with government money. There are no. It's an award show, which means that it's largely worth nothing,
Yeah. I
and
would.
it's it's just a fun execution of whatever people want to do. Like, let's say you and I thought of our top 10 rappers of or lyricists of all time. Doesn't matter what 10 you pick. Doesn't matter what 10 I pick. I could put my grandmother at the top. Flyest rapper ever. It's my list. You
Mhm.
can't, I can't invite myself into your home, and I can't invite myself into a, you know, cable networks award show. There's, it's bad. People are snubbed. People are mad. It is a negative thing, and it means a lot to the people it means a lot to. But at the end of it, it's like, you know, why won't the cheerleader, why won't this girl love me? I love her so much. You know, it, it doesn't work like that. It would be a little unfair to be able to invite yourself to somebody else's party, somebody else's house. It's bad, but it would reach a level of absurdity if we're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to show up anyway. Well, you can't. So I don't know what resolution there is. There's just going to be somebody who's going to be pissed.
Yeah. And actually, ESPN did, after all this came out, ESPN did extend her a late invitation. It's like, oh, hey, the 2022 National Player of the Year can certainly come to the ESPYs as was nominated. And she said, F you, my word for that. But I imagine she said that herself. So, she declined. And it hurt more to see ESPN change course and invite me only after social media caught wind of it. And I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that. Yeah, yeah, and it's like they're inviting all kinds of people. Aubrey Plaza, Lil Wayne is at the event. It, and I'm not trying to bash on or not bash on to be an advocate for women's sports one way or another, but it seems like this it is disrespectful. It's just you the whole point of one of the best thing about being nominated, I think, about any type of award is you get to go to the ceremony. You put on your nice outfit or whatever jacked up fashion designer gets a hold of you that makes you look like a clown. Only for black men get that treatment. But you get that on, and you get to meet whatever celebrities, or there's going to be celebrities there. There's going to be little parties, and you get flown out most likely or flued out maybe. That the whole experience, whether you win or not. And then if you win, hey, you get to give a speech, and some you tell your grandkids about. They'll send you the video, I'm sure. It'll be on YouTube. Lovely. So why can't we invite the 132 athletes with a +1 to the event? It
But
doesn't. I think it's totally disrespectful.
it is, but once you take it to a level of absurdity, like, hey, everybody in my 8th grade class got invited to, the cool kids party.
Mm-hmm.
How come I didn't? Well,
Well,
it's their
they were
party.
nominated though. They were
But
nominated though.
but
Yeah.
but this is not the actual sport itself paid for by tax money. This
Sure,
is
sure,
not,
sure.
this is a private entity. They could have nominated their grandmother. And I'm not saying it's right, but only you could only complain up to a certain point. It's not your event.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not.
you got nominated, but you didn't get invited. Could have been the opposite way. You got invited, but you didn't get nominated. It could have been another option. Option 3, not nominated, not invited. Option 4, nominated, invited. But the point is, it's not your event. You're Don Staley, you're Don Taylor, you're, Don Imus, hope he burns in hell. It's not your event. I can't invite
Yeah,
myself into your home.
yeah, yeah. That's true. I mean, because ESPN felt that rather than giving those last 2 seats, let's call it. There's a couple others as well. It's not. There's actually several. This is the only 2 that are making the headlines, and mainly probably because Dawn Staley said something. I don't know if we'd even be here. I don't know if we'd even know about it. We just assume it's like other award shows. Like they have a bunch of awards, but there's only like so many they get on camera. They're just giving them out all day. Like I think it's the Oscars for movies. I mean, it probably starts in the morning. They're giving out awards. They have awards for every little iteration of movie thing, and then you got the bigger ones. They get on TV or whatever. I really do think that I would like to think it's not that they could, if they're going to invite, if they're going to have the nomination, and it's only 132. Now that's that big. There's bound to be some celebrities that do not need to be there, such that at least all the nominees can at least say that they were there. You're not getting your award in the mail, or hey, we sent give us a little. We're gonna call you on Zoom from your house. Wear something nice, and if you win, you can say something there while everyone else is at the party for
It's
the.
high school graduate, and even still, you pull the fire alarm, you can't go. It's that you know that's tax money paying for that.
Yeah.
But this is also not your. It's not your
That's
event.
your event. Yeah, yeah. And that's why, it's not going to it's not Title IX. No. Oh, and then ESPN, I guess. Well, hey, ESPN's got this Title IX thing they're doing this year. Hey, you got Title IX this, Title IX that. Man, I don't know, man. It's just looking kind of like we were just talking about this in our admin group about how, they're not talking WNBA. They're not talking a lot of these women's sports. I mean, they had the track stuff was kind of cool because we won. So that gets a little bit of a pop. And then it's going to go away again because track tends to do that, at least in the main populace. But hey, yeah, they're not really talking these sports. And they'd rather talk Aaron Rodgers' tattoo well into the off season than to talk about, the sports that are going on, like women's basketball, which I imagine on purpose set themselves up as a summer league. One, so yeah, the players can play in Europe, make more money, but also, hey, there's nothing else going on. You got the spot. You got, except for some mid-season baseball, you got pretty much got the place to yourself, and they're still not talking it.
Well, okay. Again, before we get extra sanctimonious in this
Sure, sure,
uh,
sure.
uh, first world problem, yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
bad. You were snubbed. But at the end of the day, it isn't a right to be invited to a private company's award show.
correct.
this is not. You're not entitled to all this shit. You're entitled to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You could extend that to a bunch of other things, a police department, a fire department. If you're in a small enough town, you might have to share one with the adjacent town. This is not one of those things. It's bad. But then again, we could talk about, somebody runs 2,000 yards and they don't get nominated because they play in a Division III. Well, 2,000 yards is still 6,000 feet. Last I checked, still pretty difficult. I ain't ran 2,000 yards in my life, much less in a season. But again, the world, especially this first world, it's not meritorious. It's not. Why are the Kardashians famous? Why? A sex tape from a woman who has pretty privilege and her parents are wealthy. There are a number of people who are doing way more important stuff. I'm over here in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is essentially Silicon Valley East. There's probably some nerd toiling away on what will become smell-o-vision in 5 years, but it's not going to move the needle like whatever the Kardashians are saying. Oh, that's hot. It isn't.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. And it's not fair. And I think ESPN largely acknowledges that it's not fair. And so if they felt, hey, we were talking about this in the group chat, and maybe this is more of the same. Hey, we run the numbers, and it's better. It's better for us to have Lil Wayne be at this ceremony and Aubrey Plaza and some of these other celebrities that don't have anything to do with sports other than like they like them. Have these guys and gals at the award ceremony on the red carpet and all that crap. Then to have a few of the athletes themselves who are nominated to go ahead and show up. Then hey, if that's what they want to do, I feel all that. That's their call. It's their party. They can do it how they want to do it. So I don't know what to say. I feel sorry for old girl, and she didn't win the ESPY either. It went to Jocelyn Alo. She was a sister, woman that plays for the Oklahoma Sooners softball. So had insult to injury. Didn't even freaking win the damn thing.
Again, it's their party. And as soon as ESPN's ESPY Awards becomes tax subsidized, then we could talk. It's bad. It's it's meme worthy. It's pretty messed up, but it is not. It is far from something that is a right more than a privilege.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And I couldn't help but notice, I'm on Wikipedia seeing who won, that they had the nerve for best championship performance to put that schmuck Max Verstappen on Formula One for winning the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix after they screwed Lewis Hamilton in the biggest screw job in sports ever. But I'm not going to get into that because I know this is, I'm going to get mad again and no one else talks it but me in the group, even in the Facebook group. So I'm going to let it go. I mean, I don't have all our guys here for that. Can't believe he got nominated. I hope his ass didn't get an invite. That'd have been nice to see. He nowhere near it. Should have given it to Hamilton for that too. Oh well. All right, cool. Well. Let's hope the ESPYs can get every. Hope they can find room for every. I'd love to see it. I know it's not a requirement, but I think it'd be nice. A nice gesture that if you get nominated, they find a seat for you somewhere, and you can bring a friend, significant other, bring a dog. I don't give a crap. But I think that'd be nice.
Again, and the reason why I came up with that analogy, at least I remember when, during a period of time about 5 or 6 years ago, Sebastian, aka Boss Rutan, had his list of, his top 10 heavyweights in the world. And Boss Rutten is European. He's from Holland, and he picked a fellow countryman to be the number one on his top 10 list. It did not sit right with the CEO of UFC, Dana White. But Boss Rutten did not work in concert with the UFC. He worked for a different company. It was a TV show. And at the end of the day, he's like, this is my list. I can put my mother on the list. What do you care?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right. So we'll see. Well, we'll see what happens. These SP awards. I'm glad I don't watch this crap. Boy, this is some dreck. Ugh. Seeing who's winning these awards. Okay. All right. Anyway. Yeah, they got okay, yeah, they got a few things here, but yeah, they got the best teams, Golden State Warriors. Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. All right. Good, good, good. All right, well, that's enough of the ESPYs. That's probably the first and last time I'm going to talk sports awards show. That I think they even themselves didn't take themselves all that seriously until more recently. All right, so let's talk about some more people coming to the party. Oh, I didn't get the notice. Hopefully, I didn't miss. Don went on a hold too long there. So let's talk about some more people coming to the party here. So next topic: who else is invited to the barbecue or the party here? The league, fans, and teammates have shown support for gay and bisexual players. So why is it so hard to us to remain doing the job we do? So an article written by R.K. Russell in The Guardian, at least The Guardian published it or said it. So we got if Carl Nassib is not signed to a team by the 8th of September, freaking British, by September 8th, the NFL, a league with 32 teams and more than 1,600 players, will once again not have a single LGBTQ plus in its ranks. So basically, what R.K. Russell, a man who came out as bi himself, is saying that when you do come out, the handful or so at this point that have come out, they can't get a job. They either get cut from the team at some point, or they'll eventually get cut. Or whenever they do, they can't seem to get on with another team. So that's why, that's why athletes like anyone should come out when they are ready. We know the joy and love that will come when someone shares the truth of who they are, but we need to stop forcing our timelines and expectations on athletes when they already sacrificed so much. And instead of just focusing on the newsworthiness of their announcement, we should focus on how staff, fans, teammates, and people treat them when they do. Otherwise, we create a pattern of celebrating athletes' bravery while also cutting their career off at the kneecaps. And he gave some examples of Michael Sam, we know, SEC Defense Player of the Year. You think by default that guy is at least a top 3-round draft pick in that league in the SEC. He didn't get much of a shot. Drafted as compulsory pick as a supplemental pick in 2014. At the back end of the draft, didn't even make the team. RK himself, 5th round by the Cowboys, started for the Bucks, came out in 2019, never got another tryout. And then Carl Nassib came out. He came out while he's on the active roster for the Raiders. Had some great highlights, yada yada. He's 29 years old, doesn't have a team, and I haven't, articles have come out that he's been, even though he got a lot of support, he was playing for John Gruden, who we know is all probably pretty homophobic. So, NFL, do we have a problem here? Gay players, or bi in our case, but he's got to do it right. Not getting tryouts, not getting opportunities, not getting second looks, etc., getting cut just after they come out and so forth. So what is the word here? What's going on with the NFL? Is this a problem they should address, or let it go? Dom, yes, you came off mute, so I'll let you go ahead and go first. See, I've been going for a minute.
All right, hello everybody. All right, I might have an unpopular opinion on this. I would say, looking across the history of sports, I highly think that there have been some gay and lesbian and bisexual players, maybe not self-identified, but they definitely exist. I will also say your sexuality is not directly relevant to your talent when you're playing for a sports team. I think in most jobs, depending on just the nature of that job, your sexuality does not drive your performance or your likelihood to be selected for the position. Now, it's one thing to be discriminated against, but just in my history of Major League Sports, I can identify several players that maybe had a questionable sexual preference, but highly talented. So I don't think their sexuality became the dominant factor, the dominant part of the conversation. So my concern is if you're identifying yourself in that in hopes that that will guide you towards a selection, I don't think that's the right criteria. I mean, I'm sure if LeBron James come out and said, "Hey, I like men or women," I don't think the Lakers are going to think twice about keeping them on the team. However, if you're a player of marginal talent and you come out and say, "Oh, I'm gay or I'm bi," and they're not giving me a chance, I don't think sexuality is the deciding factor. So, I mean, maybe somebody can prove me wrong. If somebody can show me where a highly talented, highly skilled, athletic player is not getting a chance because of their sexuality, it's a different discussion. But to this point, I have not seen that. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Steve, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, I'm completely unprepared for this. Unprepared for this because
Okay, yeah, it's
I don't
tough.
feel no. I mean, I don't feel like I have a dogged game in this fight, but I think right is right and wrong is wrong. Like you should be able to, you know, be able to hold down a job, keep a job, get a job. Doesn't matter if what your preference is. Can you do the job? That's all that matters.
Trying to get off mute here. There we go. All right. So yeah, I think they're talking about Carl Nassib. It's probably the most one of the biggest acts to grind because he was an active player and all accounts seem to be doing fine. I mean, I know that when he came out as gay, that they all the Raiders fans were saying, yeah, well, if he could come out as a pass defender, we'd like that. Can we get that? I appreciate that. That's great.
Well,
But yeah, if we can get somebody to come out to block to sack the quarterback, man, we'd be doing really good. But I mean, he's hell, he's 6 feet, 277 pounds. I mean, he's got playing for the Raiders. He had a 3-year, $25 million contract, 16.75 million guaranteed. This is in March of 2020. Played against the opener against the Ravens, strip sack Lamar Jackson in OT to win the game. Da, 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 by playing in that game, first let me get week 10. Recorded his first career, got an interception, played 13 games, 21 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Not the best on the sacks. What's his position? Defensive end. Yeah, probably a little more on the sacks. But off season, he's released in March 2022. And that it is now July, and he doesn't have a job yet. He's not on Wikipedia. So, it's probably standard procedure that he would have been picked up by someone. If this man got a $16.75 million guarantee, I imagine he must be doing something. He was doing something right. 21 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Could be a little better there. Maybe it was, helping, just, helping things along, but with let somebody else kind of run the show. But yeah, well, that sounds like something may be amiss here. I mean, there's one person. It's not like it's there are dozens of players. Like Dom said, we suspect just by the cross section of humanity, there's plenty of them that probably are in fact gay or bi, but of course they just haven't come out. That I think we'd have a better sample set to pull from. But yeah, it seems like it's rough to me. I think they may want to take a look at this.
Yeah, Don. I mean, they may want to take a look at it if there's some blatant discrimination going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, all things being equal, I think about Dennis Rodman, right? I mean, it's definitely was fluid with his sexuality, right? And there's probably others, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that ever came into a question of if we're gonna keep him or fire him from the team. So I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, yeah, if it were somebody, Aaron Rodgers comes out as gay or something, it, we're not gonna be, it'll be a story for sure, it'll be a big story, but he's not getting cut from nobody's team. Or if it were, Patrick Mahomes or somebody. Um, you know, uh, a line and the defensive end running a 4.8 40. Yeah, yeah. I could see where they'd be like, yeah, man, if you don't want, and I know the big thing about coaches, and I maybe get y'all's thoughts, they always talk about the word distractions. That's what they say kind of did in. Well, he wasn't that good anyway, but if they did want to get on a shot, it kind of did in Tebow a bit. It's doing in Colin Kaepernick still. They say it did in Michael Sam. It's something where unless you are just leagues above everybody else, an all world talent, you're not going to be worth the distractions you'll bring in. Like the pain in the ass or the headache factor is too high for what you bring to the team. So any thoughts on that particular side of things when it comes to the NFL?
Yeah, Don. I was thinking. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Dom. You got it.
Yeah, man, I was thinking the same thing because I'm like, okay, let's play devil's advocate, right? Let's say the first team, whoever it is like has accepts an openly gay, bisexual player and puts him on the team. To your point, Don, that's going to become a headline. That's gonna draw
Yeah.
ESPN. It's gonna get interviews, and so that's gonna take away from the team,
Reality
any plans
shows.
they have around
Mhm.
strategy. That's gonna become the lead story. And do you want that to be the lead story in your locker room? As your team gets ready for the year, saying, "Oh, look, one team is really stepping out. Taking a chance for diversity." I mean, for a coach, that's probably a distraction. You want your players focused on the game, not on somebody's sexuality and like
Yeah.
breaking civil barriers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be it's difficult because I know the coaches are always about distractions. I guess the football in particular because it's such a freaking I don't know so mentally challenging. You're getting beat up at the same time that you got to remember you're where you're supposed to be on the field. That any distraction in the locker room is just going to be a pain. So this guy's getting one sack a year of I can't remember the average for tackles for a quality defensive end. But a one sack, one interception ever, 16 pass deflections over a full career. Yeah, we can find that and not be a distraction to the locker room. So should NFL players that are in fact gay that are not all world talents? I mean, what should they keep see the don't ask don't tell? Just kind of keep it quiet or what should they do? They want to go to the barbecue with their husbands or whatever, or their boyfriends. The company, just like everybody else, brings their wives and stuff to things. I mean, what do they do?
It's complicated, man, because I'm like, okay, I'm really trying to think. I'm trying to be fair here. So I'm like, okay, let's say you don't talk about it, right? Let's say you do it in your off life, right? Let's say outside of the field, you work with nonprofits for gay and lesbian, you work for equality, right? Um, I think maybe there are ways to bring attention to it without bringing it on the field, right? I mean, like what you do in your personal life is personal, but I mean, the only way I can think is like, what are they trying to do with the league? Are you trying to bring attention to it? Are you trying to bring visibility? Are you trying to drive diversity? So here's the thing: I could see it happening in management. I mean, maybe you might have a better chance in management, right? Like the first female coach or the first gay coach or the first like that might
Yeah.
draw some attention. But a player on the field, I don't think that's gonna drive the right focus. It may take away from the game.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I guess I feel again, I'm not in this world, but little I think I know about the NFL. It's like you don't just play that. You play your games, but you also they always have charity events every Tuesday or whatever. I don't know, United Way or Make a Wish or something. They're gonna have like the wives all get together and have their own thing. The kids of the players got their own thing. And let's just say, hell, you're a gay guy and you got a dude you want to marry, blah blah blah. And he may have a kid from previous relationship, let's say, or you adopt somebody or something. All that has to stay in the closet until your career is over. And so there's all these experiences that your family doesn't get to have. They don't get, you can't, you got to bull crap or you got to bullshit it and say, oh yeah, that's just my roommate or just a good friend of mine, you know, that gets free tickets to the games. He gets to sit in the family's boxes and all that old stuff. Then, when you travel on the road and stuff, I mean, it's because again, just listening to Dan Savage for the most part is that when you're in the closet, anyone that knows you or is a good friend, or certainly someone that you're has a significant other is kind of in the closet with you. They got to also kind of keep up the, kind of remember to keep it all up themselves and not mess it up because they don't want to mess up what you got going on. They want you to come out when and if you're ready. So it just makes it really challenging. Oh boy. All right. Well, I think the NFL is gonna got something to look at here. With Nassib with those stats, getting I don't know why the Raiders paid him that damn much, but yeah, we'll see what they come back with. I think the NFL does have a concern here to look at. All right, so now the last, where are we here? All right, so we got just a couple more here. So we have potentially the Miami Hurricanes coach, the new coach, Mario Cristobal, has said that Miami is ditching the turnover chain for the 2022 season. Those that don't know, turnover chain. I think it was Miami the first one did it. And this real gaudy, very Miami kind of hoodish chain that when the defensive players got a turnover, they got to wear that for a on the sideline, at least still going back in the game. Just a motivational thing that Mark Richt, that I don't know if he started it, but it's something that has kind of been a thing ever since. And now you can't look at a football game in college other than there's some sort of gimmick, a throne, a crown, a championship belt, more chains, of something that the defense players get for getting a turnover. They love those damn things, and if they like it, I love it. And what Cristobal said is that it's history, but he said this turnover chain is not part of our culture, unquote. So he said it's not a form of disrespect to anybody or anyone. It's history, whether it's positive, whether it's inconsequential, whether it may be, it's still history and part of your program. We're just moving in a direction that right now doesn't involve it. That's really the best way to address it. So the question is that word culture kind of got some people in the group a little fired up. What is he trying to say with culture, and is he potentially going to be missed? Because it sounds like he may have been having a bit of a "you people" moment. But I want to hear what y'all boys think. Maybe Steve, you're the Florida football man. Maybe you want to jump in on this one first.
Yeah, I'm not really a Miami fan like how a few in my family are. If it means a lot to them, then this is a story. But Miami keeps getting beat by teams that they have no business getting beat by. This is a team that at one point I remember Junior Seau talking about how poorly the defense for the San Diego Chargers played when he got drafted. He said, and this is when the NFL had 28 teams, he was like, yeah, we are the 30th best defensive team this year in football. The implication was that at the time, the University of Miami and probably, I think the Huskies of University of Washington had better defenses than a pro team. Anyway, Miami just needs to focus on winning games. That probably would solve a lot of that. Maybe it was, a dog whistle. Maybe it was completely, his Mario Cristobal's male Karen. I don't know if we're calling them Kens or Kevins or Jakes or what. I don't know. Anyway, to me, it's a non-issue. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Maybe I'd had to hear it live or whatever. But until Miami wins more than 6-7 games, they had to put the turnover chain, the passing touchdown hamster wheel, whatever it is that they are doing to be cute and clever. They're not winning games, so they need to do something different. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, the ham sandwich you get to eat because the Popeyes chicken box, whatever. All right, yeah, Dom, why don't you go and get in there, brother?
Yeah, man, I agree with Steve. He's spot on. And so, it's funny because I think back to teams that have struggles winning and they talk about culture, right? I remember Bill O'Brien talking about mentality, right? And players need to have a focus, right? Including DeAndre Hopkins, like a certain approach to the team. And I find that when you're not winning, some teams seem to focus on everything except playing the game, right? On clothes and style and antics. But I think Steve's point is spot on. Okay, let's focus on the culture, right? Let's take out the chain. Let's take out the dancing. If you're not winning, I don't think fans or the donors really care what you're doing, right? In regards to fixing an image. And as we see with many teams, winning solves everything. You can have drug scandals, sex scandals, all types of allegations going on, LSU, Ohio State, whatever. But when you're winning, a lot of that stuff seems to fade away. And so I think Steve's point is spot on. Focus on winning, and I think they won't be worried about a turnover chain or a dance or anything going on because that will resolve a lot of the issues.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, they're not winning. And by the way, Will, I see you're on there. If you're trying to get into the thing, I'm trying to get you in here. But yeah, definitely. So Miami went, what is it, 7-5 last year. I don't know what bowl game they went. Probably went to the Booty Bowl. The year before they went 8-3. So that's not too terrible. And then the year before, they went 6-7. So at least the recent record is So yeah, recently not up to what Miami standards, what we knew from the 80s and 90s for sure. So yeah, I think so Dom, do you think there was an element of a dog whistle though with our culture thing, or people maybe just reading something into it that's not really the case?
I think there's an element of that, right? I mean, we think about the NFL. They go back and forth. Sometimes you can dance, sometimes you can't dance. Sometimes you can celebrate, you can't celebrate, right? And so when people say, "Oh, we need to get back to basics," the culture that they talk about removing from the game often appears to be the culture of minorities bringing some flavor or bringing some spice to the game. But once again, to Steve's point, okay, take that out. But if the team is not winning, you're not really doing anything to preserve or improve your image. So, yeah, I mean, I'm like, hey, let the guys dance. Let Joe Horn pull out a cell phone in the end zone. I'm all for it. I'm all for the antics. But, I find when people want to play the game clean cut, get back to basics, you're taking out the pizzazz. You're taking out the excitement of the game, which, I mean, I think there's players of all races that do it, but particularly the minority players are the ones that are pretty creative with coming up with celebrations.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it seems to be our culture when they're not trying to take out the country music. Even though we invented that too. So yeah, Will, I see you got on here, brother man. How you doing tonight?
Been good, man. I
Go
guess for
for
the
it.
day, I don't know, man. I guess it's not a big deal. I think Cristobal used to coach in Miami, so I think he's part of the Miami culture from what
Yeah, he
I've read.
played at the school.
He played?
Yeah, I believe he played. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up a second.
Okay, so I guess he knows the Miami culture. But I think what Steve said, I mean, Miami's been horrible. So they need to, because they'd have that turnover chain and they'd be losing games like 40-3. I'm like, bro, y'all losing. Like, let's stop this. Start winning and stop worrying about this damn turnover chain. So I don't really care. I mean, I'm just saying. Miami, turnover chain. I'm like, bro, but y'all losing, So I don't know if it's cultural. Like I said, I think Cristobal was from a Miami guy, so I think it'd be different if it was a person who wasn't from the program or a coach or player.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's a little bit more in tune. So he might just be like, hey, dog, let's stop. Let's do something else, man. But
Yeah.
Miami culture is braggadocious. If you look going
Yeah.
back to the 80s, 90s, 2000s, they're braggadocious. But that's when they were winning, when they had Ray Lewis and who was it? Andre Johnson and
Michael
Adrian
Irvin.
James, Michael Irvin. But they
Michael
were winning
Irvin,
though.
man. Was
So
it Bernie Kosar? No, that's way back. No,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't.
man. Yeah, they used to
But
kick some
that's when they
serious
were the
stuff.
U and they were
You.
winning. So you could be braggadocious when you winning,
Yeah.
like, but you can't be braggadocious when you 6 and 7. Nah. You
So
can, but not really. You don't.
down
And I
by
think maybe
20.
the
You're down by 20, you
yeah,
get a fumble, and all y'all are carrying on about a chain. Oh, we got a turnover, baby. We're down
yeah.
by
The dudes
20
will
and
be on.
4.
I'll be like,
Woo!
yeah. So I'll allow it, because he's part of the culture. So I'm okay with if he wants, he's the new coach. He wants a direction. I mean, heck, at U of H, Tom Herman came in and he kissed every player on the cheek. That's what he did to, make them feel special. Obviously, the next coach didn't do that. So everybody has their own way of motivating. I think Tom Herman got a grill if the team won something, like the one conference. So Paul Wall made him a grill. So everybody has everyone has their own culture. So I guess someone can have it, but it doesn't mean the ex-coach has to carry it on. So,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm okay with him getting
Yeah.
rid of it.
And just so you know, my Cristobal, he played in Miami from 89 to 92. So he was right there in the thick of things.
Yeah, so he
When
was
they
on
did.
those teams
He
with,
was on those
and he
teams.
might
Yeah,
have
so he
played with the
knows what it's
Rock.
like.
Who
He knows
knows?
what the Rock is
But
about. Yeah, he played with the Rock. He got coached by Jimmy Johnson and Dennis
oh
Aaron.
yeah,
So he was
so
with
he
won
official.
2
Like you
national
can't.
titles.
I mean, he official. So you gonna be
Oh,
like, that's kind of when
and he actually
I'll allow him to do that.
he coached at Miami not long after grad. He played a little bit in Europe, never really made the NFL. And then he actually coached at Miami, for grad assistant, and then later on as a tight ends coach, offensive line coach. Then got into head coaching at FIU. Did a little coaching at Bama, on the Nick Saban. Then eventually Oregon, and now he's back home at the U. So not a great coaching record, 62-60 as a head coach. So and 3-3 in bowl games. So yeah, I guess they got something. We'll see see how that works out. I don't know how. Maybe because he didn't win some Pac-12 championships with Oregon though. So hey, that's something. So we'll see what comes up there. Whatever's left of the Pac-12. But yeah, okay. Yeah, so okay, so no dog whistle. I guess we're gonna let it go. They're winning. I think it's the point. If you're not winning, it kind of looks silly. You do look silly if you got that. They got that gaudy ass chain going. All right, cool, cool. So we'll hope for the U. It's always more fun when the U is engaged and they're involved in the sport. Not too good. We don't want to beat Georgia Tech, of course, but everybody else, hey, have at it. All right, so we'll get to the big story in about a half hour left here. So yeah, we'll skip if we get to the story on snacks, then great, we'll get snacks in here. But we got some of our guys here. All right, main story: Uninterrupted Ink. I know it's called that. Tried to trademark the phrase with the United States Trademark and Patent Office earlier this week, as according to USA Today. I'm reading from Sports Illustrated. The company aimed at empowering athletes, filed for the phrase to be used in videos, social media posts, music, games, along with downloadable virtual goods, computer programs featuring footwear, clothing, headwear, eyewear, bags, sports bags, backpacks, sporting equipment, arts, toys, and accessories used online and in online virtual worlds, according to the USPTO website. The phrase, of course, is shut up and dribble. The athlete who runs it is, of course, uh, our Lord and Savior, patron saint LeBron James. The highly talked about phrase comes when in 2018 when James and KD spoke critically of Donald Trump on a podcast, and then Fox News's Laura Ingraham defended Trump on her show, saying that James' comments were barely intelligible. And that Lakers stars needs to keep the political commentary to himself and quote, shut up and dribble, unquote. And then, of course, LeBron did respond to that, saying, if you still haven't figured out why the protesting is going on, why we're acting as if is because we are effing tired of the treatment right here. Can we break it down for you any simpler than this right here? And to my people, don't worry, I won't stop until I see change. Yeah. All right. So LeBron has taken the shut up and dribble quote. He started saying it, and now he's actually trademarked it, and looks like that's going to be just about everywhere. So Laura Ingraham seemed to be taking L on this one, perhaps. So will she be missed, or in general? What are just thoughts in general on LeBron kind of taking this back, the shut up and dribble quote, and actually taking it in the first place? So maybe Jeff, I see you came in, so maybe you want to jump in on this one first. Well, Jeff, will come back to you. So yeah, Steve, I see you're off. You want to jump in on this puppy?
I'm okay. Very few times in life do I agree with this. I know people have tried to, say like, oh, we're going to take back the N word and make it less offensive, and it doesn't really work, but I have seen it or heard of it happening before. Apparently the term Hebrew, I learned this in high school history. It was supposed to be a detrimental term to the people who were walking around the Middle East that are the chosen people of the Bible. Hebrew comes from a word meaning abru, which is dirty or dusty or whatever, but they took it as their own and they made it work for them. Okay, so going back to this, I'm 110% behind this. And, by and large, whether Laura Ingraham is, heaving and throwing things around her living room or she's mildly inconvenienced, I love it. It's a great day for me. I'll probably get my wife pregnant, something like that. I don't know. It's great. I'm all for it, whatever the case may be. Props to LeBron for trademarking it. And, anything that is against Laura Ingraham, I'm for.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, Jeff, I saw you came on speaker. You want to jump in on this one?
I mean, I just think it's smart business. I mean, just in case somebody, I'm not saying he's going to do anything with the trademark, but just in case somebody tries to print some T-shirts or someone tries to use that phrase and to make money, I mean, he owns that phrase. So I mean, it's a smart business tactic. And I mean, it's kind of like what Steve said. I mean, anything against Laura Ingraham, I'm with. Like, I'm not with all, I'm not with all the Fox News primetime people spewing they freaking nonsense. So I mean, like anything you can do to discredit them, then I'm just with it. So.
Yep, no doubt. Yep, and then Dom, what's your thoughts there on that?
Man, I agree with everybody. I think this is something that, because the media certainly played that up when it happened, I think LeBron used it to his advantage. I think that's something that political parties, like for instance, the Democrats, can learn from it, right? Maybe take that snowflake term and get a trademark, right? I mean, you got to start using these comments from these far right news stations, to against them. I mean, they know how to play the media to their advantage. Trump was definitely a master of that. So I think LeBron is kind of playing their own game to his advantage. So I love it. I like to see more of it.
Oh yeah, maybe call itself the fighting snowflakes or something. Snowflakes for America, something like that. Yeah, just take all their stuff and own it. Yeah. I think it shows a lot of power. I mean, LeBron's a billionaire. He said he's really not gonna shut up now, and I truly do. I truly do enjoy it that he's pawning Laura Ingraham, who I think is probably white supremacist, or at least suspected, and I think is really just along with all of so many of those people on Fox, just a hot mess. I know Flakes is on here. I know he watches that from time to time, but yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great to see. I think it's very intelligent. They got a shut up and dribble T-shirt or something. Hey, I'll buy one myself. I think he's got the. I think LeBron has something here, so we'll see. We'll see what he comes up with for it. But whatever it is, I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. Yeah. So I think Steve, you got a good point. I didn't realize the Hebrew one was actually a derogatory term. I think that's actually a fairly common thing. I think hell, even the Yankees was a derogatory term about at least Americans or people from the North, and ends up being our baseball team, and it goes on and on and on from there. That people take terms and that were meant to be insults, and then kind of take the power and own them, and then here we go. So yeah, we'll see what we got there. All right, so they can't play a video on here, but yeah, go ahead.
Y'all was thinking one last comment. I was like, you know what? Also in the social media age, like we're seeing with NFTs, I think people need to learn to play up and monetize some of these comments, right? I'm just thinking back to like Crying Jordan, right? And some of these memes. What if Michael Jordan would have actually patented that, right? Or trademark?
Oh,
I
I
mean,
owe him so much money.
yeah, so much. So you got to
Oh,
think
I'd be
about
broke.
this, man. You got to play this to your advantage. People try to make fun of you, but get paid off it.
Oh
I mean,
man, I'll be broke.
but I think the difference with Jordan is like Jordan's not hurting for money, so I don't even think he really cared about it. LeBron not hurting for money either, but I mean, LeBron always looking to make more money. But I just think Jordan is in the state of his life where he just don't. I mean, he's at a point where he just don't care. Like he's just like whatever.
You damn sure don't care about my Hornets winning nothing. You know that ain't. You don't care about that either. But
I mean, it's
yeah,
hard to win in Charlotte. I mean, like basketball wise. I mean, that's just a hard place to win.
yeah, it's hard to win. You can't get. You get. I mean, it's just not great city, but it's not going to be attract. It's not. It's not a star city that stars want to come to. But yeah. Well, I think Jordan. I know he likes to make money. So I imagine if NFTs existed when the Crying Jordan thing first came out, and I wouldn't have put it past him that he would have trademarked that. I think LeBron, if there's anything, he should trademark a few of these animated gifs that are now going around, that have been going around, like the one where he was wearing the capri pants that they were wearing in Miami for a little while with the man purses, and he had to get up from the press conference after J.R. Reed messed up the game. So that was, if he trademarked that, I'd owed him a lot of money. I've used that multiple times. So yeah, hey, I think you take the power from it, and then you just kind of roll from there. All right. Okay, cool. It makes this, man, that was an easy one then. So yeah, I did have another story, but I don't know if I'll play the whole video, play a video here. But it's D.L. Hughley going off on old boy Jason Whitlock, where he called Leslie Jones an ape. I think probably fairly simple. Whitlock, if there ever was a Dave Wood Miss Hall of Fame, if I do like a yearly wrap up or Thanksgiving turkey, they will miss turkey of the year. I mean, it's got to be Whitlock, right? I mean, he just keeps going further and further and further into the cooning at this point, calling Leslie Jones an ape and all of that. I don't know if anyone has anything to say about our boy Snacks.
Yeah, man. I know Jeff probably got something to say about it. But yeah, man, he just really stands so hard. Like, I don't know if he thinks he's getting fans from the far right or conservative, but it's like just any offensive thing that we think that he's probably gonna say it, right? For shock value. So I don't know, man. I don't know what this guy's future is, but it seems like it's very limited. I almost feel like with him, the less attention you give him, the better, right? You focus on him,
Yeah.
he's probably feeding off that. So I just tune him out.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that's the correct answer. Don't give him any oxygen. There's no fire without any oxygen. What, this guy Snacks been fired from, what is it? ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, Waffle House, IHOP, Foot Locker. He's been fired from everything. The only thing that he can do now is be a professional troll and a do-boy and to buck dance for his conservative white audience. Don't pay this guy any attention. You know, the less attention we pay to him, the less relevant he becomes, and then he'll go and fade into obscurity like he should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
And
go
I'm
ahead.
just starting to feel like with like Whitlock, I'm just starting to feel like, yeah, you cannot give him any oxygen, but it seems like he still does what he wants to do. Like I feel as if like Leslie should just go up to him face to face and personally intimidate him because it's just like none of this other stuff seemed to work. Like I mean, like I mean, like he's doing all this coonery shit and he keep doing it. And I just think somebody needs to confront him on his bullshit because, like, face to face. I'm not talking about over the web or social media. Like, someone need to just like walk up to him face to face, like, yo, like, and just like check him and like, what the hell are you like? I mean, especially Leslie because she's taller than him. I mean, she's obviously in better shape. And I
Oh
mean, I
God,
just think
yeah.
I think that's just what it's going to take because everything else that everybody's trying to do, he just keeps running his mouth and it just doesn't seem to work. So I just think I'm not saying like you got to fight him or nothing, but you got to physically confront him and be like, and I mean, just let him know like this is not okay. And it's either that or sue him for, like, like defamation of character or something, for something like that. I mean, it's got to be something punitive because obviously everything else ain't really working.
He'd probably make a meal of that. He'd probably get a whole host of podcasts from the confrontation. They say, "You see, this is what they do." I mean, he would. I don't. I think it's just I think Steve probably hit it. Just professional troll at this point. Just saying stuff, and he's got and because we all know his shtick. He's largely exposed himself. Back when he was on more mainstream media and actually had an outside shot, that being one of the major voices, but he went the coon route. That he does have a shot. That he does have uh, he does have he has so little credibility with the black community. I don't know if people go to his on his little podcast, like any major sports personalities for interviews at this point. I don't know if he gets anything at all, any attention at all, other than deep in the far right. They probably use him as a pet. So I think but because everyone knows his shtick, he's got to keep pushing the envelope. He's got to say something even more outrageous, such that hell, even our Twitter space and our Beyond Sports, like we even talk about it. I guess you're right. He's just giving him attention. Maybe just ignore him and maybe he goes away. Yeah. All right. Well, screw him. I'm gonna ignore him too. All right. So with the last 20 minutes, they want to get y'all's thoughts. We had a pretty long discussion in the admins group about this. I know Flakes be interested in hearing what we came up with here. Too bad Will's not here. But is anybody watching like the sport debate shows or listening to sports talk radio in the last few weeks or so, kind of after the NBA finals? It seems like there may be a little bit running out of ideas. And the question is, in this deep summer, the dog days of summer where there's just, summer baseball, well, long before the end of the season, basketball's done, football off, nothing's going on with football. And all we got is, some summer soccer, some world championship stuff. And we would have the World Cup, but they moved that to the wintertime. So the only other thing we've got is some WNBA ball. But when you go to the sports shows, all they're talking is NFL. They're talking about Kyler Murray with his big contract. They're talking about the AFC West breakdowns. They're talking about Aaron Rodgers' tattoo. I wouldn't be surprised if I look at my podcast tomorrow. It's going to talk about what Aaron Rodgers wore with the Con Air look going into training camp and what message was he sending. There's going to be 3 segments on Cowherd. So should the sports shows, debate shows, Skip and Shannon, First Take, Correct Cowherd, Speak for Yourself, blah, 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 should they be talking about some of these other sports that don't get much shine, at least when we have a break from the main sports? Or should they keep it like going on and having LeBron James, MJ debates just 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 to have something to talk about?
Man, this is a really good point, right? Because I think about like right now, the dominant sport is baseball. But here's the thing. I mean, post, steroid era and, trash can banging and all that, there's very little controversy in baseball. Like there's very little drama. There's nothing that I could see a round table having a heated discussion about that would draw a lot of attention. And same thing with the WNBA, right? And I guess hockey was the last thing on. So I feel like with the sports that are taking place right now, there's not as much drama. I mean, yeah, I can't think of anything that exciting about baseball that I would sit and watch a roundtable about. I think the track and field was on, Friday. I don't know if the topics are interesting enough to draw attention, right? But you start talking about the NFL, you start talking about Kevin Durant and his drama, it definitely makes me tune in. But I don't know what other people think.
I mean, quite honestly, I've stopped tuning in, man, because it's dead season. Like they talk about, I mean, undisputed. They either talking about the Lakers, the Cowboys, or Tom Brady, and then First Take. I mean, First Take don't even have the regular people on there. Like they have these fill-in people. Like, I mean, today they had what Channing Crowder, Clark was, I mean, pretty much two of the dudes from the Pivot podcast, and then they had the other dude. I think it was like Harry Douglas. It's like the real people ain't even. The real people on First Take ain't even doing the shows. And it's dead season. It's like they're trying to drum up topics, and it's like, I mean, at least with football, everybody's in training camp as of today, so at least they got something to talk about, I guess. But it's just this happens every year though. Like this is nothing really that new. And I mean, I've kind of just stopped watching, man, because it's the same story it's the KD trade, or it's LeBron and the Lakers, or it's the Dak and the Cowboys. And I guess the new thing is McCarthy had a bad interview the other day, and they talk about, is he on the hot seat? I mean, all this crap. I mean, it's the same narratives they talk about for the last month. And it's just like, there's only so much narrative talk you can have without any new content. And obviously the content is sports, and they don't want to talk about the WNBA, and they don't want to talk about baseball. And I get baseball because, quite honestly, it's the middle of the summer. I mean, I'm saying this, and I played baseball growing up for a long time. This shit's boring. Like, I mean, if you're not actually at the game, the shit kind of boring. To actually sit at home and watch a game for 3.5 hours, or, I mean, maybe not every team is that, but I'm a Red Sox fan. Them fucking Red Sox games be 4 hours long. I'm not sitting in my living room for 4 hours and watching that. So, and I'm definitely not going to want to listen to someone talking about baseball, at least not to the postseason. So, I mean, you can either watch those shows, or you can find some podcasts that you like and do that. And that's pretty much that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah. Should they stretch their legs? I mean, yeah. Okay, maybe don't talk baseball because I mean, summertime, All-Star break. We kind of, yeah, they're playing games, but you're not really gonna start waking up till it gets elimination number time, right? So September-ish, August, September. But you got WNBA. Well, there's UFC is on. They're having their fights. I don't know. There's other. There's some other stuff going on. One of the things in the admin chat group was, yeah, when there's nothing going on in the major sports, should they just go ahead and talk about some of these lesser known sports? Talk about Formula One. Get some guys in there. Talk about, you got WNBA. We all know. We'll talk about that. We got Liz Cambage, like they call it, a divorce. I don't know why they use that term. A contract divorce. With Liz Cambage and the Los Angeles Sparks. But should networks, especially in these times of summer, take the time to stretch their legs and not just have on and on debates about free agency and basketball when nothing's happening anyway? And they can check back in when something does happen, but when there's nothing happening, go ahead and talk some of these other sports and just stretch their legs since there's nothing else to talk about anyway. And they can maybe invest some time and some equity that maybe get some new fans and help expand all of our horizons.
I agree at 110%. They should be able to do this, but they can't pull themselves away from the golden goose. And maybe we're as fans, fan is short for fanatic, maybe we're fanatical about everything football. We've got pro football. We've got alternative leagues for pro football. There's Canadian football playing all during the summer. There's going to be indoor, like, arena football. We're going to stress about college football in a few weeks. I got to buy my tickets to the first game that I'm going to see at my school in 2 years in person. Then you got high school games, Pop Warner, Little League. Maybe it's our fault that they're giving us what we want. We could talk about what Aaron Rodgers is eating for breakfast on a day-to-day basis, or what is Tom Brady's workout? How much bottles of water does he drink during a day? These are things that I've seen, and maybe I'm guilty for opening up these articles too. But 100%, you gotta help us help you, and we gotta help them to do some of these things. I've turned on ESPN. I don't know if it's like ESPN the Ocho. I've seen sports I've never seen before. It's transitioned from, I don't know, I've seen monster truck racing and sled pulling in the 80s and 90s, and now there's competitive gaming. There's I saw these parkour challenges where these 20 and 30 somethings are playing a mean ass game of tag, and it was the most ridiculous and entertaining thing I've seen in a long time. So they should, but it's a little of column A, a little of column B. It's their fault. It's some of our fault.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I see Ken actually requests to speak as well. So you want to jump in there?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, brother.
All right.
Thanks.
What's going on, fellas? So yeah, this was a pretty hot topic in our admin group because I've grown a bit tired of the I guess the debate takes that have been going on during the summer, and I agree with Jeff that this is something that every year around this time after the NBA finals and right before football season starts, the debate topics kind of become worse and worse. But I spent some time overseas, and what always amazed me is like with the I'll take the Australians for example. They were knowledgeable about a lot of different sports. Here in the States, I know it's football, it's basketball, and then it's everything else. Whereas in other areas, they're way more knowledgeable about a variety of sports. And sometimes I feel like ESPN and Fox Sports, they play a part in that ignorance because they only highlight football and basketball. So I guess the question is, do you give the audience what they want, or do you grow other sports by giving those other sports an opportunity or time at the debate desk? Especially when you have an opportunity during this dead season to kind of try different things. We talk about the WNBA, we talk about women's sports, and ESPN. They claim that they want to grow the women's sport. Yet, when you have an opportunity to talk about the WNBA All-Star Game, they waited till 3 minutes until the end of the show, a 2-hour show, to talk about the WNBA. So, if you want to grow women's sports, in my opinion, then you would give them an opportunity to be in front of the mainstream audience.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone want to jump in on that? Yeah, Dom, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I think Ken is right. He just hit a key point. I think about the power of marketing, right, and the power of advertising, right. I mean, during baseball and football season, any trash game gets promos and trailers all week, whether it's on Amazon Prime or Thursday night, Monday night, whatever night, right? Like teams that are 1-10, right, are getting a spotlight. But it's interesting right now. Like, I mean, I watch ESPN a little bit, and I don't recall seeing too many WNBA games. I don't hear them talking about it on any other talk shows. I don't see them giving it any promo. So it's like, how do you expect to grow these sports if you don't advertise, if you don't market it the same way you do the other sports? So, yeah, I don't think they're genuinely invested in sports outside of professional and college football and basketball to the same extent, So maybe everybody's right. If you want to build those, you got to really push. You got to really advertise it and put it in front of people.
Yeah, and I guess it's go ahead, Ken. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like the World Track and Field Championships. That was the first time that they were ever held in America, and USA Track and Field, they spent a lot of money to get that over here because they're trying to become one of the top 5 sports in America, right? And it's interesting because the articles I read said that track and field is the most participated sport in high school, more than football, more than basketball, more than any other sport. Yet track and field, professional track and field, only is interesting during the Olympics. And I know part of that is football and basketball is king, but again, we're in a dead period in between football and basketball. Yet we're talking about is Mahomes overrated? That's what Skip Bayless was talking about today. Like I think there are so many other storylines that are interesting or that could be highlighted, but ESPN, they really only care about is their bottom line, and I get it. The executives at ESPN, they have to keep their shareholders happy, right? They're in it to make profit. But I feel like if they were to actually grow these other sports, then they might be able to have a better off season this period here when if they were to able to grow their audience per se, or they could grow their base by getting more people interested in other sports.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think may I'll be with you, but I guess my question is it possible? I mean, we don't know these contracts. Is it possible the NFL says, "Hey, you got to spend X amount of time segments on us on the NFL as part of the contract?" Because I imagine I would like to think. I mean, they want to make money, but to have an endless debate about LeBron versus Jordan, about whatever it is, who's overrated, a hot take, hey, this guy's overrated. Well, that's going to get us, that'll give us some airtime to fill. We can talk about that versus, hey, here's what's going on in Formula One. Here's what's going on in the UFC. Let's get some of those guys and bring in some of those guys to talk about the big fights over July. There's lots of big fights. Here's what's going on with NASCAR. Well, maybe not NASCAR. And baseball's kind of right about now. But why is it possible the NFL, NBA to get those big $billion contracts? Is that potentially in the language of the contract, or can these guys talk about whatever they want?
Yeah, but I think part of the problem also is that some of these commentators, all they know is football and basketball. Like some of them don't know, they don't know the game of soccer, or like they don't know the WNBA, or like they don't know, golf like that, or like just the sports that aren't the mainstream sports. Like they don't like a perfect example is UFC. Like Stephen A. Smith don't know when he's talking about UFC, he don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He has no clue what he's talking about. So it's just like. So when you have your hosts and they don't know the sport and they can't speak about it intelligently, I'm not saying he got to be a savant about UFC or boxing, but I mean when you hear him talk about it, if you ever watch UFC, then he doesn't know what he's talking about. Then I think that factors into why they don't talk about a lot of different sports. I think it's a small percentage, but I also think it's what you said. I mean, I personally in the NFL in the content they got with ESPN, they are definitely telling ESPN that like in their like daily shows that they got to talk about they got to talk about that league for a certain amount of time. I wouldn't see why the NFL wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't put it past the NFL to throw something out there. Yeah, go for it, Don.
Yeah, man, I agree with Jeff. Yeah, I mean, I think about for instance, I don't listen to the radio. I mean, radio sucks. But I learned these major labels, they pay to have the same songs played repeatedly, like 50 times a day, right? And so I'm just like, yeah, I would imagine that the NFL, NBA probably has agreements with Disney and ESPN, right? You're going to advertise, our products even off season, right? To draw attention. And then I think the same thing, like Jeff is saying, like, inside the NBA, you got your TNT crew, you got Michelle Beadle and certain people that work basketball and football. I think a lot of these big names don't even get assigned to work a lot of these sports. So they have no clue, right? Because they're not intimately involved with it. So, yeah, if they were to talk about it, they would be talking from generalities because they never do the commentating for the games. So, yeah, I don't think they assign at least the big name resources from the major sports channels. They don't assign them to the smaller sports. They only focus on basketball, football.
Oh yeah, Ken, yeah, go for it, man. Yeah, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, so I think the thing about these debate shows is that it doesn't take much to produce one of these debate shows because you don't have to do a whole lot of research. They go get an ex-athlete, they go get a journalist, and they get two people across each other in a table, and they get them to debate. And I use that with air quotes because they're not debating. They're typically yelling, arguing, and sometimes purposely discussing or debating contrary points of view. I go back to what Jeff was saying about a lot of these journalists or these reporters or debaters are out of their element, and it goes back to what I was saying about my time being overseas and talking to sports fans abroad, where they have a general understanding, more than a general understanding of a lot of different sports, and I feel like here in this country we lack that because the media only focuses in on football and basketball when there are so many other stories out there that would be interesting to a certain segment of the population. I mean, football, 40% of football fans are women. Women are a targeted audience for a lot of these different sports, yet they neglect women's sports. I mean, or they neglect storylines of women in sports that would be of interest. And I think that the media, ESPN and Fox Sports, which is, to be honest, mostly male run, is they're missing out on opportunities.
And I think it may be a bit of a shame because I think WNBA, back in its inception, they purposefully made it a summer league, partially because it is a dead time. They say, hey, we'll have the room to ourselves. It'll just be us and dog days of summer baseball. So and the occasional World Cup soccer. And
Soccer.
Seems like instead of being in a yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Soccer, WNBA, and all these summer football leagues that keep popping up, all competing for that third or fourth sport in America. That and track and field, I guess, too.
Yeah, like they're competing for crumbs because I just looked at the lineup for all the sports show podcasts that I have, which I haven't downloaded or listened to since probably since we had the first week of free agency in the NBA, and I stopped listening because it got repetitive. And they're all talking NFL. I mean, you would have thought we were in October, November, the way they're talking NFL right now.
Like ESPN, they haven't said anything about Vince McMahon.
Oh man, yeah. Well, they're in bed with him. Well, hopefully not in bed with him, but yeah, they're yeah. They haven't said anything about man. I doubt they said much about. I mean, there's lots of stories, but I mean, yeah, maybe it's an opportunity for ESPN to. I think you have a point. Maybe try to expand our horizons a little bit and give us a bit more because hey, it's the summertime. Either that or I mean, I'm just done. I just can't listen to another. What's Kyrie gonna do? One for Deshaun Watson. I don't, with his story, we need that to hurry up and get something so we have something to talk about. With all these sports shows, and then that's gonna be a what 3 days worth, 2-3 days max of content, and then you're right back to. I mean, I'm skipping making out Baker versus Darnold. I mean, come on, y'all. Yeah. So Dom, yeah, what you got, man?
I think there's a hidden element that may be driving some of this. So, I'm thinking about, you think about leagues where the salary cap keeps skyrocketing every couple of years, right? And a lot of that's based on TV deals, right? It's based on network deals. And I mean, I know baseball is up there, but I mean, you look at the NFL and NBA, it's constantly expanding. The net value of those teams is constantly growing. So I'm wondering, how much does that play an influence in, the programming on ESPN and Fox News? They definitely are highly connected to both sports, right? And so I'm thinking those TV contracts may play a point in what gets talked about.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah, and that's why I think it is. I think it's part of this, if nothing else. I mean, ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC, they're paying billions upon billions, even for college football at this point. So I imagine that the executives are going to say, hey, well, we pay billions and billions for these guys. We need to make our money back. And we need everybody to watch these sports as we paid to have these. Whereas probably everybody, all those other sports, hell, I'm sure they got paid a little bit of money, or I wouldn't be surprised if they pay ESPN to get on the contract, get on to one of the Plus networks sometimes, and they see the numbers. I mean, I think, and again, I'm not into this. I'd love to talk to one of these, maybe get somebody in the group that's what or same setup that I think they can see the live ratings as you go. That as you start talking about Aaron Rodgers' tattoos, the ratings start to go up, the whatever scores, the numbers start to go up, the downloads go up, whatever. And then when you're talking, HBCU, Jackson State, FAMU football, that it goes in the toilet, and like guys like me and Steve are listening. Everyone else is, goes to the beach. So I think there's an element of got to make your money back. But then I guess they've got that. I'm sure they've researched this. I'm sure they've got the research that says it's better for us to go ad nauseum about Mayfield when nothing's happening than to give a single segment to any other story that's going on right now, which is a damn shame.
I mean, yeah, but even the crazy part is like they don't even talk about college football. In college football, I mean, you could argue college football is just as popular as the NFL is. I mean, you can make that argument, but they don't even talk about college football. But I think the reason they don't talk about college football is because they don't know, like Stephen A. Smith and the rest of them people, they don't know about college football. Like they'll like speaking like when the season's going on, they'll speak in generalities. Like I'm not. I mean, like I'm not a savant in college football, but I've watched it long enough to kind of understand, like the flows of college football. I know what's going to work at an institution or what's not in terms of trying to win a national championship. But it goes back to my original argument. It's like they don't have enough knowledge of these sports to be able to talk about them in the offseason, because anybody can talk about football and college football and basketball during the season. I mean, it doesn't take much knowledge to do that. But when you're in the offseason, you have to really know those sports. And I just feel like they don't know those sports.
Yeah, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
So then my question then is so should First Take and Undisputed take a hiatus during the summer then? Or should they change their format to where they're part debate, kind of like the old Cold Pizza, where they actually did they had like 4 different parts to the show, I think, and they did 4 debates, but they also did news. Should these debate shows change their format? Because that's the other thing that I talk about in the admin group ad nauseum, is that these debate shows, I'm not quite sure. I think they just dumb down society based on the content that they discuss and the way that these topics are debated. I don't see the point of them. My fiance asked me my wife asked me the other day, why do I watch these sports debate shows? All Chris Russo does is scream, which he does. He's entertaining, but he's not really. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Why
man.
do
he
we
I,
watch these
screams,
debate
but
shows?
it's funny to something to scream about. It's funny, but if they're just having random top five lists on things that aren't even happening at the time, it's just what are you doing?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
think
Paul.
Yeah, I think this is the part of the 24-hour news cycle, right? I mean,
Mm,
you watch Sports Center repeats like 10 times a day, half the news channels I can't even watch, right? Because, I mean, it's just the same news stories repeated over every 30 minutes, right? And I think we've gotten, and same thing with some of these roundtables. I think they've gotten in the habit of just having a partner interruption or, whatever, because it's like we just have it. But like you said, half the time it's not even a debate. It's people yelling, it's people being dramatic, it's people being controversial. So you can't tune into some of these because they don't have credibility. But I think this is the world we live in, right? You want to be able to turn on ESPN any day or hour and see something going on. The problem is it's just not always high quality television. So
yeah, yeah. There's only so much news in the day, right? I think it's when they said when Ted Turner said we're gonna have news 24-hour news. I think somebody told him there's not enough national news to make it 24 hours. There's only like 15 minutes of news that's actually nationally relevant. And he said, "Oh no, we're going to talk about it over and over." And I guess I guess you do have to remember. My thought is that these shows are designed not so. The podcasts are still somewhat newish for these types of shows, right? They're designed for people that are you're in the car or it's in the break. You're in the car, you're listening to Cowherd just on your way to finish your commute or to run to Starbucks. You turn on sports talk. They got a few takes. You have a couple laughs, and then you move on. It's not generally intended to listen to the whole show every time. And then at least it's not designed that way originally, and so that's why there's some repeat during the show, even if it's a slightly different version of the same topic. And I think the same thing for like First Take and all that. It's like break room stuff. We used to have it on and offshore, just something to have on just in the background, some white noise, some funny stuff, a little sports stuff just before we started the morning meetings and all that. And it's not meant to be something you'd watch all day. So if you do watch it all day or listen to all the podcasts in a row, unless it's like something really big, I think you're going to get bored regardless. But yeah, these guys need to start. They really need to think about either just go on break for real, which I think some of them are really doing. Just go to the beach, forget it, and come back. Come back, at the fourth week of preseason, or try to get educated about some other sports, and bring in some people who can talk about it. And let's expand a little bit. Like I think a lot, like I think some of us may even do in our real lives. This is ridiculous at this point.
I mean, just to be honest, the reason I watch Undisputed is it's the entertainment slash comedy effect. Like it's Shannon Sharp. Like he's the reason I watch that show. I watch it to be entertained. Like I don't get my knowledge of football and basketball from First Take or Undisputed. Like I mean, like if I'm going to learn about the sport, I'll use other avenues to do that. Like I'll actually watch the games or I'll, watch film on the like stuff like that. Like I'm not depending on First Take and Undisputed and Fox Sports One and ESPY. I'm not depending on these networks to teach me about sports because they won't teach you about anything. Like they're not going to teach you about different defenses in football or different offenses in football or in basketball as well. Like you're not getting that from them. This is like I said, for me, it's entertainment. Like when I tune in on Mondays when it's Michael Irvin and Stephen A. Smith, that shit is entertainment. It's funny. I laugh and I just move on with my day. Like I'm not getting any sports knowledge value from these shows, and I don't think anybody should.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's pro wrestling in a sense. It's just it's comedy. It's a little bit of schlock, and I think it's just I think what Ken was trying to say and is trying to say is that while you and probably a few of us realize that yeah, this is not the real place to be, and if you take the debate shows in the news media, similar concept, right? That it's kind of dumbing us down a bit, or a lot. that this is where a lot of people are getting their news and whatnot, or just from shows that were largely meant to be funnier ways of maybe discussing the goings on, not supposed to be actually learning and taking it too terribly seriously. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm surprised we actually lasted an extra 10 minutes and it hasn't shut off yet. I guess Elon Musk not buying Twitter. I guess they figure they got to fix it up themselves. But does anybody got anything they got to get off their chest before we go ahead and call it a night? All right, cool. So Ken, man, it was great to have you on, man. I tell you, I think you may have a blog post here about something. Uh, yeah.
Hey
Oh yeah,
Don,
Don, get in there, brother.
I,
Yeah, go for it.
I think we might have a first. I missed the first hour. Did we go a full 2 hours without discussing Deshaun Watson?
We did. Oh snap! That in and of itself. I mean, I should get some champagne for that. There was no Deshaun. No, we talked a lot of sexual improprieties now. Yeah, Steve and I, because we're pro wrestling guys, at least coming back in the day. So we talked about Vince McMahon, a lot of billionaires and rich people looking for love in all the wrong places. But Deshaun, man, we don't have anything to report.
Wow.
I am shocked. I think it's like 4 months straight or whatever it's been. The we're just waiting on the suspension. I guess Google knows I'm watching. Every time I get a little ping, and it's like, okay, what do we got? And it's like, oh yeah, well, we're not sure what the suspension is going to be yet. It could be anything. Like, oh well, thank you for that. Yes, yeah. Again, there's nothing to talk about. So, yep, no Deshaun Watson talk. We're also a little bit dead time right now. So we'll see what happens. We're all ears, and I think when Deshaun Watson stuff happens, I may just press the live unless I'm working. I may press the live button as soon as it happens, just so he get it, hit it while the iron's hot. Well, all right, gents, man, this was a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming in again, episode 18. So, man, I'm sure there'll be more people gonna screw it up. We didn't get the Jim Harbaugh with his abortion take. I get the feeling he's gonna have to answer for that next week. But, gents, have a good evening. See you next week. Peace.